Hi everyone, this is Danelli. Um, Thanks for being here. I have had to redo this video a few times. I really struggle with getting tongue-tied and um, giving lectures or doing lectures or workshops online. So thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm working through making sure that my delivery is better and like more coherent. So I appreciate that, you all put up with me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and every other social media platform. Um, Especially the last couple days, I've been incredibly tongue-tied. For me, it's usually a side effect of extreme anxiety. On top of that, I'm thinking a mile a minute. So I literally trip over my words quite a lot. And I'm sure that if Freud were alive today, he probably would have a field day studying all my slips of tongue. Um, to top it off, I do know, I think, no less than like three or four languages, and a sprinkle of a few others. Um, so I was born and raised bilingual, English and Spanish. And then over the course of the last 20 something years, I've learned and taken quite a lot of linguistic courses. Um, so I'm like beginner French, moderate Italian, like a sprinkle of German here and there. I understand some Portuguese. Once you study the Romance language linguistics, you pretty much have like an umbrella coverage of a lot of different languages. So I would not be surprised if all the grammar rule wires are just all getting crossed in my mind. And that's why I struggle with being relatively coherent on top of the nerves. Um, anyways, what this video is about. Why Latinos are important to university research, a cancer PSA. So, um, this is a video that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, for a few years, because September's here, the anniversary of someone that I care about a lot. Um, their death anniversary is coming up, and I was having this conversation with an aunt a few years ago regarding pancreatic cancer and you know, what potentially causes it and why it tends to affect, or it's been affecting Latinos quite a lot recently. And I mean, I've known there is research on this for, I've known that there has been research on this for a really long time. It was just that during that conversation, for some reason, I had so many other concerns that it just totally slipped my mind that there have been some research studies that have shown correlations with like pre-existing health conditions or potential bacteria in relation to pancreatic cancer and a host of other cancers. Anyway, on top of that, I thought like this is the reason why Latinos need to start getting more involved in university research, not just as students, but also as a community. Um, because we don't have enough Latinos participating in these types of research projects at all levels, at university levels. We are one of the most underrepresented in the USA in research universities. Um, so we need to start getting more involved to bring attention to the issues that plague the community more. When we don't have representation in these fields or in these roles, a lot of systemic racism runs rampant, and we are unfortunately forgotten. We and our problems fall through the cracks. And, research that is relevant to our community falls through the cracks and doesn't get enough funding or enough interest to continue to reach conclusive evidence whether this, like certain things affect us more than others for whatever particular reason. Um, And we do have a lot of incredibly major like health issues, right? Like diabetes, pancreatic cancer, gastrointestinal cancer, colorectal cancer, and a number of other cancers and diseases and syndromes that affect the Latino community disproportionately. So, and I was just like remembering this because the anniversary of my aunt's passing in September of 2012 from pancreatic cancer um, really inspired this video. And you know, she got diagnosed with, I believe it was like uterine issues. They did surgery. They discovered that she had other issues in her abdomen. They did a biopsy. This was all around February of 2012, and she, you know, was gone by September 2012. So the cancer like was working over time. And um it was incredibly it was just brutal for the family because it happened so quick, and um it just felt like, you know, we all received an incredible shock at the diagnosis and like the prognosis. I was fortunate enough to spend the last couple months with her in Santa Barbara, where she stayed for some like care before she passed away. Um, and I wish that, you know, at the time I had thought about researching pancreatic cancer at university levels much more in depth. I wish that I had, you know, gotten this information sooner or that somebody would have mentioned it. And this is what I say, and this is why I say like these types of issues require our involvement. Because if we don't have Latinos that care about these things involved, information doesn't get spread, right? Like we often find things out by word of mouth, and we, if we're interested and it's pertinent to us, then we become more involved in research and like other types of things. Um, and so I found this article because there are, you know, there are quite a few other articles similar to it. The association between Helicobacter pylori infection and pancreatic cancer, a cumulative meta-analysis. Sorry, again, tongue-tied. Um, by Dr. Trikundanathan Guru, Dr. Guru and his team of doctors at the Department of Internal Medicine, University of Connecticut Medical Center, the Department of Hematology Oncology, St. Francis Hospital and Medical Center, and the University of Connecticut School of Pharmacy. This is an example of a very interesting article that does like a survey of how H. pylori bacteria is potentially involved in the development of pancreatic cancer. And when I started reading about H. pylori, I was just aghast that, you know, something so small and seemingly unimportant could create such damage in not just a, you know, a person so quickly, but also like in an entire community. Um, so what is H. pylori? H. pylori is a bacteria. H. pylori es una bacteria, ¿ok? Una bacteria que afecta a los latinos y quizás tenga que ver en que tengamos cáncer, ¿no? And so I want to go through this article with you guys a little by little and do like a little bit of a walkthrough regarding some of the findings that are related. So the abstract here is just giving us like a little bit of a summary, context of the study, el contexto del estudio, the objective, cuál fue el objetivo, o sea, por qué empezaron a hacer estos estudios sobre esta bacteria, los métodos, the methods and statistics that they used, y cuáles son unas de las cosas que encontraron en el estudio. So what were some of the things that were found in this study? I want to highlight this first section here because it does state at the beginning that some of the research was inconclusive, right? So they say this when the doctors get together and they discuss the findings and they realize, these findings are very promising, but we probably need more research. Cuando dicen que los estudios no pueden concluir efectivamente en decir algo, usualmente quiere decir que los estudios o los doctores necesitan más estudios para poder saber con una certeza si los estudios están correctos. So what this tells somebody like me that's reading this kind of a research article is that they need more funding. They need more support and they need more trials, more people getting on this so that they can get more accurate statistics. One of the things that plagues these types of research articles and projects is that there is a high rate that the studies that they're looking at could not be copied and redone, that the methods cannot be done and copied by a different group to receive the same results. That's also another reason why they tend to say they're inconclusive. However, this does summarize that there is a significant association between H. pylori and the development of pancreatic cancer. So, aunque ellos dicen que los resultados no se pueden considerar con certeza, pues, o todavía hay duda significativa, lo que usualmente alguien como yo sabe o entiende es de que necesitan más apoyo y más estudios para poder saber al 100% si estos estudios están dando información que es correcta. O sea, necesitan más apoyo y más atención a este tipo de estudios y proyectos. Pero una de las conclusiones en este artículo dicen que hay una asociación de la bacteria H. pylori con el cáncer del páncreas. Okay? And you can appreciate, I'm sure, how hard it is to not get tongue-tied when I'm literally translating between multiple languages in my head. So what else does the article say? So the results have not been consistent across studies. So they do admit that there is some inconsistency. And the studies have been kind of sprinkled out from 2010 forward, give or take that time frame. And, no methods were included in this report, and the data they used from prior studies was inconsistent. So all this really says is that they can't vouch for the accuracy of other studies. Lo único que esto quiere decir es que están reportando usando otros estudios en este estudio en particular para escribir este artículo, pero que ellos no pueden verificar si los estudios que ellos están usando fueron hechos correctamente. part of this article, like many other research articles, walks you through like the methods of research. So how they conducted this research, how they did their survey, what were they looking at, how, they searched through keywords. So using different terms for pancreatic cancer, pancreatic tumor, pancreatic neoplasm, Helicobacter pylori, H. pylori. So all of these things are things they search within the articles and look at this information collectively. They also tell you what kind of people they used in their studies. So who were they taking into consideration? So estos estudios muestran los métodos que usan, el tipo de gente que están usando en estos estudios y explica, o sea, qué incluyen en la consideración de estos artículos. Okay. So data extraction and quality assessment, how they pretty much like take out the data, they extract the data and like how they independently study it. Si usan computadoras y métodos tecnológicos para estudiar la data y al mismo tiempo revisan todo independientemente. So this is something that I found really, really interesting. Certain host and genetic factors can modify the likelihood of acquisition and persistence of H. pylori infection, which may overturn the balance towards carcinogenesis. So ellos dicen que hay ciertos factores en la persona y factores genéticos que quizás los hagan más probables que tengan esta bacteria o que contraigan la bacteria de alguna manera y que se vuelva en un cáncer. On top of that, they have associated different strains of H. pylori and associated with like inflammation, ulceration, and malignant transformation. Lo que dice es que quizás haya una relación entre inflamación, úlceres y transformaciones malignas, digamos cáncer, y también potencialmente cáncer gastrointestinal. So the inflammation and the malignant transformation has had some connection to gastrointestinal or gastric cancer. Los factores que quizás afectan a la gente con H. pylori y cáncer del páncreas son la vida social de la persona, dónde ha vivido, dónde ha crecido y por qué tan largo tiempo la bacteria ha estado presente haciendo daño en la persona sin ser diagnosticada. So early life, social environment, along with the presence of H. pylori virulent strains may play a significant role in the development of malignancy 5 to 8 decades later. So your early life, your socioeconomic status, where you live, where you grew up, all those factors actually do have an effect on your likelihood to gain H. pylori, like contract H. pylori bacteria somehow, some way, and having it sit there and develop into a malignant strain for a really, really long time. So, these are really interesting findings. Not only that, the presence of certain kinds of proteins may have an effect on turning the bacteria into cancer. También nos dicen el tipo de personas con las que están trabajando, las edades, cuántas personas fueron investigadas para estos estudios. So this is the part here that I found really, really interesting and why I wanted to do this video, was because a lot of these studies were done around the same time, um, around 2010, give or take, like a decade or so. Um, but even though these findings were incredibly positive, they have reduced the focus and attention to these types of studies over time. So like they have remained statistically significant, although the point estimate has been reducing over time. Another thing that I found really interesting about this article was, you know, the different types of cancers that H. pylori might potentially be involved in making worse or like creating problems in people. Not just pancreatic cancer, not just gastric cancer, but the development of colorectal, hepatocellular lung, and laryngeal cancers. So, lo interesante de este artículo fue de que no solo encontraron esta bacteria en los órganos gastrointestinales, sino también piensan, basado en estos estudios y los análisis de estos estudios, que esta bacteria potencialmente tiene un efecto negativo en cánceres gastrointestinales, um, cáncer del páncreas, cáncer de colorectal, que sería colon, y lo que es la garganta. So that's something that's really, really interesting. It may induce tissue inflammation, increasing genomic DNA damage and cell proliferation. Esta bacteria induce inflamación, causa daño genético y causa la multiplicación de células en una forma negativa. O sea que ya las células dañadas se siguen multiplicando. Y esto ocurre, y piensan ellos, que ocurre porque la bacteria en nuestro cuerpo, en intentar pelear esta bacteria, ya después de que la bacteria haga daño, encontraron una cierta proteína que está involucrada en causar el cáncer. So something I found really interesting in this is that, and I think this is part of the inconclusive like results, was that they also found several proteins involved in and around the areas where the bacteria was present and the cancer developed. It's hard to understand this part, whether the protein itself like was a product of the bacteria or our body produced it, but the actual protein itself seems to be one of the leading factors as to like why the cancer develops so quickly and pretty much is fatal. Otras cosas que también encontraron relacionadas con la bacteria y este tipo de cánceres fue de que las personas que sufren de esta bacteria usualmente también quizás sufren de anemia, de dolores gastrointestinales por mucho tiempo antes. Tienen problemas con absorber la vitamina C y quizás tengan problemas con los úlceras. So another thing that I found really, really interesting about this article was, the evidence here that this bacteria can often be associated with like anemia, other gastrointestinal like pain or issues, the trouble absorbing antioxidants like vitamin C, and an increased risk of or like issues with ulcers. And this is incredibly, incredibly interesting because I know my community. Like we know who we are. We want to usar like pomada de la tía for everything. That's not gonna work with this. Um, Pepto-Bismol is not gonna work with this. Maybe for the ulcer, you might get away with like relieving pain, but the Pepto-Bismol is not gonna kill the H. pylori. Okay, so we need to stop that. This is why like when I was going through some of this old research and like reviewing things, I thought this is something that the community needs to know because we're so used to throwing la pomada de tia on top of things, throwing some Pesto Bismol, and calling it a day. And on top of that, like I know that our community is so um conditioned to believe the white doctor every single time, like, and everything that the white doctor tells you is going to be right and correct. I have been to a gastrointestinal specialist that told me after 2 confirmed episodes of H. pylori infection, told me to take uh, tea. He told me, make yourself peppermint tea. I'm sorry, but peppermint tea is not going to kill the H. pylori if it's present again. Nosotros estamos muy acostumbrados a creerle al doctor blanco o al doctor asiático o quien sea en la oficina del doctor que ellos tienen la razón siempre con estos tipos de problemas. Cuando le duele el estómago, le van a decir, oh, tomes Pepto-Bismol, tomes ah, tómese un té y se le va a componer. No, con este tipo de bacteria necesita medicamento muy especial. So, si ha tenido problemas con el estómago, con los úlceres, y se le vuelve a regresar y le están diciendo, tómese Pepto-Bismol, tómese un té, desafortunadamente quizás sea esta bacteria que está causando daño silenciosamente por años y años y años hasta que su cuerpo ya no aguanta. O sea, literalmente dice, ya, me acabé. Por eso el cáncer del páncreas progresa tan rápidamente porque está trabajando silenciosamente y nosotros lo ignoramos y no le damos la atención. And unfortunately, so many doctors out there are so complacent and willing to cash a check without actually sending you in for studies that they don't care about this. They don't care about getting you diagnosed. They just care about, if it's not literally protruding out of your body, if you're not bleeding out of your eye sockets, they're going to call it a day. If you're not fainting, you're not vomiting, if, your pain is not to the point where can't even stand up and you're, like rolling on the floor from pain, they're not going to do anything. But this is a silent killer. It's this bacteria. Where can you find it? This is a shocker. And also this is where, our community eating habits need to start getting revisited and rechecked, right? You can find it surprisingly in all kinds of like fresh fruits and vegetables if they're not washed properly. Se pueden encontrar esta bacteria en frutas, vegetales que no se lavan bien. You can find it, you can contract it through cigarette smoking. Lo puede agarrar si fuma cigarros. Usualmente también tiene que ver si es de un nivel socioeconómico pobre. So if you are from a poor socioeconomic status, you're more likely to contract this disease or this bacteria. Y esto es algo que tenemos que poner atención. On top of that, something that I went ahead and did further research on that's not in this article was, how do we also continue to contract this disease repeatedly? So a couple of things that we need to pay attention. También tomé el momento de estudiar un poco más sobre esta bacteria, de cómo se contrae, ah, porque hay muchas cosas que no las puede, nos puede infectar con esta bacteria. No nada más las frutas que no son lavadas bien, no nada más los vegetales. It's what we cook. So es lo que cocinamos. We often cook with like pork, and meats that potentially may include high levels of bacteria. Desafortunadamente, a veces comemos carnes como el puerco, que a veces tienen un alto porcentaje de tener bacterias. A lot of times we cook or we eat meats that are undercooked, like steak, medium rare steaks. You might want to have to cut that. A veces cocinamos la carne asada, no está bien cocinada en el medio y la bacteria puede estar presente. Tenemos que cortar la carne asada rara, o sea, que no está bien cocinada. Aunque nos guste un poquito de sangre, tenemos que cortarla ahí, okay? So it's what we cook. We need to pay really good attention to what we're cooking, what we're eating, making sure that it's washed well, making sure that it's cooked well. ¿Qué es lo que necesitamos que empezar a mirar? Es lo que comemos, que no lavamos bien, la comida que estamos cocinando, que la cocinemos bien, que esté bien cocida, se muera la bacteria antes de comer. And how we cook. So yeah, you wash your meat, you don't eat a lot of pork, you eat fruits and vegetables, which is what even the doctors recommend, right? Like salads and fruits and vegetables, what should you eat? But we don't realize that it's how we cook that sometimes actually like infects our food with bacteria. So sí, quizás come bien, quizás come saludable, pero es como cocinamos la comida que causa que comamos esta bacteria. Cómo cocina, o sea, la fruta, los vegetales, las carnes, si se lava las manos, si lava todas las cosas bien, tiene mucho que ver, right? So how we cook this food, do we cook it well? Are we washing our hands? Believe it or not, this bacteria is often found in fecal matter. Fecal matter, okay? Créanlo o no, esta bacteria se encuentra frecuentemente en la caca, okay? La caca, porque no se lavan las manos bien. La próxima vez que el compa esté cociendo la carne asada, por favor, lávense las manos, okay? Wash your hands. Next time you're at the carne asada, please wash your hands. Next time you are cooking anything, make sure to wash your hands. Wash under your nails. Quítese la mugre debajo de las uñas. Okay. On top of it, we need to look at what tools we are using to cook. Okay. Tenemos que poner atención a qué estamos usando para cocinar. ¿Qué estamos usando para cocinar? What knives are we using? Are we washing them well? What cutting boards are we using? Are we washing them well? ¿Qué navajas? ¿Qué platos? ¿Y qué estamos usando para cortar la carne, los vegetales y las frutas? Okay. Not only can microplastics really damage your gastrointestinal tract, you cannot digest microplastics. You're putting in plastic in your body and that's going to damage it. And I'm guilty of this myself, along with a lot of other people. Sometimes it's more convenient to buy like a cheap cutting board, plastic cutting board. We should throw that out. Sometimes we don't wash our cutting boards well. If they're wood, we don't wash them with like vinegar and we don't let them sit for a while. We don't boil them. So a veces por querer comprar algo con que cortar la comida, usamos o sea, un plato de plástico y a veces porque es lo más conveniente o es lo que podemos comprar. Yo, tanto como muchas otras personas, a veces usamos cosas de plástico para cortar, pero el plástico no es comida, no se puede meter adentro sin causar daño. Um, y puede dañar nuestros órganos gastrointestinales. Y no estamos lavando, si lo que estamos usando es de madera, si no lo estamos lavando bien, no lo estamos poniendo a cocinar con agua y no lo lavamos con, digamos, vinagre, esa bacteria se puede, o sea, ahí replicar en la madera que estamos usando. So the cooking tools that we use really do have a huge effect on potentially contracting H. pylori and having it live inside of us for a really, really long time, causing damage, untreated damage that we're blaming on chili, like chili eating habits, that we're blaming like, all of these other types of food that people are saying might be dangerous when in reality, it could be something innocuous like the vegetable that you're eating that you're not boiling right, or the fruit that you didn't necessarily um like wash well. Muchas veces queremos echarle la culpa al chile porque pensamos que nos duele el estómago después de comer chile. No es necesariamente eso el problema. Quizás puede ser las vegetales que está queriendo comer y no la está cocinando bien. Puede ser la fruta y no la está lavando bien. So, no es necesariamente los problemas gastrointestinales, no hay que echarle la culpa al chile. Um, Something that actually is really useful that I learned about chili doing this investigation on H. pylori was that chili is actually really helpful with increasing your metabolism. So yes, sometimes in order to digest certain types of chilies, we produce more stomach acid. However, our stomach acid is our stomach acid. But what actually makes eating chili good is not just the effect it has on your metabolism, that it also increases your ability to manage your sugar levels. So it has a relatively positive effect on people that may be struggling with insulin resistance and the management of sugar. Otra cosa por la cual no le debemos echar la culpa al chile de este tipo de problemas es porque aunque el chile nos cause que produjamos más ácidos en el estómago para digestir el chile, esos son nuestros ácidos, no nos hacen daño. El chile, en varios otros estudios, ha demostrado tener un efecto positivo en nuestro metabolismo. So, nos ayuda a quemar la comida que estamos comiendo cuando comemos chile. Además de eso, el chile en varios estudios ha demostrado tener un efecto muy positivo en nuestra habilidad de mantener o controlar el azúcar en la sangre o el azúcar en nuestro cuerpo y controlar la insulina y quemar la comida bien. So, la próxima vez que tenga ese dolor de estómago, no es necesariamente el chile, a lo mejor es que ya tiene problemas usted con algo relacionado a este tipo de bacteria. Okay. So no nada más vaya a comerse el Pepto-Bismol o el tecito. I think, if you have gastrointestinal problems or a history of pancreatic or gastrointestinal cancers in your family, the next time your stomach's hurting, don't just reach for the Pepto-Bismol, don't just reach for the tea. You might want to start considering whether this has been something that's been plaguing you and your family for a while. Okay, creo que ya. I think I'm done. My aunt, uh, anniversary for passing is coming up later in September. And I always think about her in this month, on top of all the other family birthdays. But, I always think about her, and this is something that I thought is incredibly important because a lot of people don't know about it. And so this is my PSA on why Latinos are important for university research, and why it's important that Latinos get more involved and start talking about the issues that are important to our community. Yo sé que cambié de lenguaje en el medio del video, pero quise hacer este video porque en el mes de septiembre siempre me acuerdo de mi tía que falleció del cáncer del páncreas. Y, cuando estaba mirando los efectos de esta bacteria y todo lo que han encontrado los doctores, quise hacer este video porque siempre pienso en ella en estos tiempos. Y es algo que nos afecta a la comunidad mucho ahorita. Creo que necesitamos que entender y saber por qué tener la presencia de latinos en universidades para que nos representen es importante, porque si no, este tipo de problemas que son muy importantes para la comunidad no reciben la atención que es necesaria para que se encuentre formas de ayudarnos en el futuro, especialmente formas médicas que prevengan que este tipo de bacteria se convierta en cáncer que no se puede curar. So now that I'm out of breath, I want to thank you all so much for sticking around for this video. And I hope to catch you in the next one. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to leave comments on the comment section. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff for this video. And I hope to see you next time. Muchas gracias por ver este video. Se lo agradezco mucho. Si tienen algún tipo de comentario, preguntas, preocupaciones, por favor déjenme saber en la sección de comentarios en el video de YouTube, y también háganle like, compartan con sus amigos, con otra gente, y se los agradezco mucho. Gracias por ver este video y los veo después.